Time is on my side. Yes, it is. Time is on my side. Oh, yes, it is.
Tim's body was thrown backward, crashing into the far wall. Sparks burst from overloaded systems. Smoke curled up from every surface. He blinked rapidly. The eyes of God flickered with internal light, cycling through phases. The system had pulled him partially into the timeless state, just before the breach. He coughed, tasting iron. Zoe. Alarms wailed in the distance, dim compared to the pounding in his chest. He stumbled to his feet, pain splintering up his ribs. Zoe. Where are you? He saw her hand first, fingers limp under a collapsed beam. He scrambled forward, eyes wide, heart clawing against his ribs. No, 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 Zoe. Stay with me. She was still. Blood on her temple. Her body twisted protectively around the base of the prototype. She had shielded him. No. Please. No. He tried to lift the beam. But it passed through his hands. He gasped, looking at himself, his edges flickered, ghost-like. Not fully here. Not fully there. He was in between. Don't do this. Please, not like this. He whispered, kneeling beside her, trembling fingers brushing her face that he couldn't even touch. Zoe's lips barely moved. One final breath escaped. And then she was gone. A scream tore through him, but it made no sound in the real world. It echoed instead through the folds of time itself. The eyes of God began to glow uncontrollably. Tim's form shimmered again, then vanished completely. The world went black. Silence. Not the kind that comes with sleep or stillness, but the kind that presses against your ears, thick and suffocating, as if the universe itself had paused to mourn. Timaeus floated, not through space, not through time, but through the absence of both. A vast nothingness stretched around him. No up, no down. No stars. No sound. Just white gold light, shifting like dust in water, illuminating nothing yet making everything visible. He tried to scream Zoe's name, but his voice didn't exist here. No air. No body. Just thought. And pain. The last memory burned against his mind like a scar, Zoe, her silhouette outlined by the red glare of the explosion, reaching for him, pushing him back, and then. Gone. A flicker. A ripple. And now. This. The eyes of God pulsed against what remained of his perception. Not pain. Not pleasure. Just. Clarity. His right eye burned faintly, the implanted tech showing him fragments, like echoes of lives that had almost happened. He saw a version of Zoe laughing in a field of wildflowers. Another where she walked alone through a ruined city. One where she was holding a child. His child. Was it real? Was any of it? A deep, ancient vibration rumbled through the void, not sound, but presence. As if something, or someone, was aware of him here. A sudden pull. The light warped. His limbs reformed like memory solidifying into flesh. He fell, but not downward. He descended into another version of reality. The timeless state collapsed like a closing eye. And he awoke. Gasping. Alone. Timaeus woke to sunlight. Golden rays spilled through gauzy curtains, warming the contours of a room that didn't feel like his. The sheets were unfamiliar, softer, cleaner. The air carried a strange serenity, too still, too perfect. He sat up slowly. The last thing he remembered was the explosion. Zoe's voice. The world cracking like glass. The eyes of God. Then. That voice. Timaeus. You are not lost. You are here. His heart jumped. It wasn't spoken aloud, but it echoed. Inside him. Around him. A whisper across thought itself. He clutched his temples and looked around. Zoe? He called out. No answer. Only birdsong and the gentle hum of wind outside. He stumbled from the bed. Everything in the room was pristine, no cracks in the paint, no worn corners, no clutter. It was almost sterile in its perfection. When he found a mirror, he froze. He looked younger. Healthier. His skin was smoother, no scars. The metallic implant of the eyes of God, gone from his temple. But when he blinked, his right eye flickered with a faint blue glow for just a second. You're not where you think you are. The voice again. Calm. Familiar. Not Zoe. Not Grayson. Something. Other. Timeless. He rushed to the window. Outside, the world was unrecognizable. Lush greenery stretched across rooftops. Trees grew from sidewalks, merging nature and technology in impossible harmony. Children played beneath floating drones shaped like birds. Cars hovered silently, no roads. The sky, clear. No chemtrails. No aircraft. Just endless blue. Timaeus opened the door and stepped into the quiet street. He turned slowly in place, jaw slack. This is not my world. It could be, the voice whispered. It was. Once. He dropped to his knees. A tear slid down his cheek. Zoe. Where are you? He whispered. A soft wind brushed his face, almost like a hand. And then he heard it, faint, buried beneath the layers of thought, her laugh. He stood again, shaky on his feet. The city was alive, but not in the way he'd known life. It pulsed gently, as if the very earth beneath him breathed in harmony with the trees and sky. There was no traffic, no noise, no tension. It was too perfect. Too designed. As he walked, faces turned toward him, smiling, warm, as if they knew him. Children waved. A man on a balcony nodded with reverence. A woman passed him and said, "Welcome back, Timaeus," without breaking stride. He froze. "Do I know you?" he called after her. She only smiled and disappeared around a corner. He spun slowly, his chest tightening. "You are not the only version of yourself." The voice again. It didn't startle him now. It felt internal, like a second pulse in his mind. But it was distant, like it was wearing a mask. "Who are you?" he asked aloud. "I am the question you keep asking. The silence between your thoughts. I am the shape of your becoming." His breath caught. "You're in my head." "Yes. But only because you opened the door." He stood in the middle of the pristine street, heart thudding. Where is this? What is this place? A memory of what was. And what might still be. This world is the child of choices you haven't made yet. Timaeus clenched his fists. "I don't understand." "Not yet." The voice was patient. Too patient. He turned toward the park, something about it pulled at him. At its center, a black obelisk rose from a garden of shimmering vines. Strange symbols pulsed faintly along its sides. He approached it slowly. As he drew near, the symbols rearranged themselves, forming a pattern he remembered. The schematics for the eyes of God. He stumbled back. "That's impossible. I didn't build this here." "Didn't you?" His hands trembled. "Zoe. I need her. She's the only reason She is your anchor. But even anchors must sink when the ship sails too far." He gritted his teeth. Stop talking like that. Just tell me where she is. Silence. Then, softly. She is where you left her. And where you will find her again. But not here. Not like this. He dropped to the ground, holding his head. You asked to see everything, the voice continued, gentler now. But everything is a burden. Truth without timing is poison. Timaeus stared up at the perfect sky. He had entered the timeless state, and emerged in paradise. But paradise without Zoe felt like a prison. Then take me back, he whispered. Whatever this place is. I don't want it if she's not here. The air around him shimmered slightly, like heat off pavement. The obelisk let out a low hum. To return, you must first awaken. The city breathed. Glass towers caught the morning light in perfect synchronization, reflecting beams across a sky so clean it felt fabricated. A gentle breeze carried the scent of artificial jasmine. The roads were silent, despite the thousands moving through them, vehicles without wheels, footsteps without sound. Timaeus stepped onto the walkway, every cell in his body alert. The voice in his head had gone quiet again. But the feeling it left behind remained, like fingerprints on a mirror he hadn't meant to look into. He touched his wrist. The eyes of God add just with a faint pulse of light, activating the cloaking feature, not to turn him invisible, but to subtly alter his appearance. Facial contours shifted slightly, clothing restructured into local fashion. Not enough to vanish, just enough to become someone else. He moved through the city like a ghost in daylight. No one recognized him. That was the first sign. A courier drone zipped past, projecting delivery instructions in midair. Timaeus caught a glimpse of its core interface. His heart skipped. That's mine, he thought. My design. My code. But he had never been here. He followed it. Down corridors of pulsing neon veins and whispering ad screens, past people smiling with practiced ease. One man stood too still at a corner. Watching. Timaeus turned. The man was gone. He pressed deeper into the city. At the edge of a learning center, he watched children interacting with floating spheres, his AI interface, again. Down to the calibration model. The voice returned, soft and slick like oil on water. You don't remember building it because you didn't build it here. Timaeus froze. Who are you? No one. Yet. He entered a public archive and found himself staring at old blueprints. His blueprints. Patents stamped with a sigil he didn't recognize, an eye set in the center of a triangle. The name listed under every schematic. The Watcher. He blinked. The lights flickered. Outside, a market square bustled with food vendors and mechanical musicians. Timaeus sat beside an old man carving strange symbols into a strip of metal. They say the Watcher sees all, the old man muttered. Timaeus leaned in. What does he watch for? The man looked up. The return of the mistake. The one who tried to tear time apart. He squinted at Timaeus and chuckled. Don't worry, not you. Timaeus smiled weakly. The cloaking tech held, for now. As night fell, the city took on a different texture. Shadows felt thicker. Streets rearranged themselves subtly. He tried retracing his steps and found the plaza gone. In its place, a tower he hadn't seen before. A silent spire with no doors, no windows. Just a symbol etched in obsidian. An eye. Watching. Always. His reflection in the glass looked distorted. For a heartbeat, it wasn't him at all, it was someone older. Darker. Wearing a mask. Night in Kelares didn't bring darkness, it brought silence. The sky above glowed a cool silver, like the city had tamed even the stars. Buildings add just their light based on ambient mood metrics. No lamps, no shadows, just a soft clinical clarity that never let you feel alone. But Timaeus felt alone anyway. Or worse, watched. He moved through the lower wards, where the city's sterile perfection gave way to something more. Lived in. Cracks in the pavement, rust on service panels. People here looked less symmetrical. Their smiles didn't always reach their eyes. An old radio crackled behind a vendor stall. No music, just static. Until a voice slipped through, speaking directly into his spine. He walks beneath the mirror. But shadows know their source. Timaeus turned. No one else reacted. He pressed deeper into the alleyways. At a subterranean gallery, citizens gathered to view historical echoes, holographic recreations of events long past. Timaeus stepped into the hall and froze. The scene displayed was a meeting of scientists, and he was among them. Or rather, someone who looked like him, older, more severe. Wearing a sleek black coat with the triangle eye insignia pinned over his heart. The crowd watched in reverence. The voice of the watcher filled the room. We stand at the edge of chaos. Order must be designed. Free will is entropy. Truth is symmetry. They applauded. Timaeus backed away. No one noticed him leave. Or maybe they pretended not to. Outside, a girl stared at him as he passed. No older than 10. Her eyes glowed faintly. You wear his face, she said. He stopped. Whose? She pointed to the sky. His. But yours. But not you. Then she ran. He ducked into a maintenance tunnel and removed the cloak filter from his wrist. The face in the polished metal wall flickered. His own features, yes, but there was something else now. A hesitation behind the eyes. A calculation he didn't recognize. The voice returned, faint and mocking. You are wearing a mask to hide from a version of yourself who wears no mask at all. Back on the surface, people gathered in a wide, circular plaza. A massive sculpture stood at its center, a man with his arms outstretched, holding a sphere of light. A plaque beneath it read, "In honor of the one who gave us time again. The Watcher." Timaeus stared up at the statue. The face was unmistakable. His own. Only colder. Hollow-eyed. Divine. A headache throbbed at his temples. Too much light. Too much noise. He stumbled into an alley to catch his breath. Then he saw it. A message scratched into the wall, small and desperate. Zoe knew. She tried to warn us. I think he killed her. Timaeus backed away slowly. Somewhere in the distance, sirens started to sing. The morning haze lingered longer than it should have. Timaeus stood at the edge of a transit platform, watching the orderly flow of citizens as they moved with robotic precision, their footsteps too synchronized to be chance. He adjusted the cloaking interface subtly embedded within the eyes of God, a habitual gesture now, more reassurance than necessity. The strange children still lingered in his mind. Their eyes didn't look through him, they looked into him. And in that moment, something buried deep in his consciousness stirred. A question he couldn't yet name. Timaeus drifted through the city like a ghost, observing more than participating. The soft hum of unseen machinery, the pale sky that never quite shifted with the sun, and the distant, constant rhythm of a city that never stopped, all of it felt too perfect, too engineered. The cloaking effect from the eyes of God shimmered subtly, disguising his true features, wrapping him in the face of anonymity. He had refined the technology after waking up, calibrating it to avoid biometric scans while blending seamlessly with the passive surveillance drones. That was when he noticed them, the fanatics. Hooded figures, dressed in robes that mimicked ancient ceremonial garb, marched through the boulevard with a silent authority. Citizens instinctively cleared the path, their eyes averted but not unaware. In the plaza at the city's center, a platform rose from the ground like a wound opening in marble. A man was dragged forward, trembling, not from pain but from disbelief. Timaeus caught the words, muffled beneath the mechanical amplification of the watchers. He asked what came before, one of the zealots proclaimed. He sought a door that does not exist. A hiss. A flash. The crowd did not blink. The man was gone. No scream. No remnants. Just a void. Timaeus scanned the faces. Expressionless. But their eyes, frozen in a terror so deeply buried it had become part of their anatomy. The kind of fear that cannot be spoken, only lived. Later, in the quiet hum of night, he slipped through the city's less patrolled corridors, guided by instinct more than intention. He found himself at the archive, a monolithic structure veined in black stone and etched with moving glyphs. Inside, the air smelled of static and dust, a paradox in a city so immaculately maintained. He approached a terminal. "Children," he whispered, and the glyphs rearranged. Files opened. Restricted sections blinked red, but he navigated deftly, relying on remnants of old knowledge. There, images. Reports. Records of anomalies. Children whose neural maps didn't match protocol. Who spoke of dreams and fire and eyes that never closed. And then the screen flickered. A harsh whine burst in his ears. "Warning, unauthorized query." The interface went black. A low mechanical chirp sounded behind him. Timaeus turned slowly to see a maintenance drone paused mid-flight, its lens blinking red instead of blue. It hovered for a moment, scanned him, then zipped away in a blur of motion. He stood motionless, the silence heavier now. He was being watched. For the first time since arriving in this world, he felt truly seen. The sirens had vanished as quickly as they came, leaving behind only silence, a silence too heavy to be natural. Timaeus walked through the eerily still city with his cloak activated, the eyes of God filtering thermal and magnetic signals around him. Something had changed. The air felt monitored. As he turned down a side alley on instinct, a low hum vibrated through the walls. Without warning, a drone zipped overhead, sleek, black, and weaponized. It paused mid-air, scanning. Timaeus stopped breathing. Unauthorized anomaly detected. Timaeus ducked just before a net of blinding energy shot where head stood a split second earlier. He rolled into the shadows, uncloaking for just long enough to confuse its heat sensors before darting into a maintenance hatch. From inside the vent system, he could hear the city's hidden systems come alive. Doors locking. Boots hitting pavement. The sound of precision. A team of enforcers, identifiable by their matte gray armor and glowing red visors, moved in formation. These weren't ordinary patrols. They were the Severance, a tactical unit deployed for one thing only: containment and elimination of aberrations. A chase ensues through layers of the city's infrastructure, past humming generators, through underground passageways, into forgotten atriums filled with moss and broken screens. Along the way, Timaeus witnesses flashes of something buried, murals of a time before the Watcher, graffiti pleading, "Remember Zoe," and sealed doors marked with old resistance symbols. He narrowly escapes into a concealed chamber beneath a hollowed-out temple. Inside is a strange altar glowing faintly blue. It reacts to his presence. The glyphs pulse as if greeting him. And then, he hears them again. The children's voices. Laughing. Echoing from somewhere nearby. But behind him. The Severance haven't given up. And now, something worse is coming through the city's deeper gates. The altar's glow subsided, leaving only a whisper of warmth in the air, like breath on a mirror. Timaeus stood still, the light from his cloak refracting faintly across the stone. Every part of him wanted to reach out, to touch the markings embedded into the altar's surface. But his fingers hovered, restrained by instinct. The chamber pulsed, once. Not physically. Not visibly. But through the eyes of God, he saw it, an echo in the electromagnetic lattice, a shift in the geometry of space. Something was waking beneath the city. He pulled his hand away and activated a localized scan. The glyphs were ancient, layered with both organic and synthetic markers, part of the architecture of this reality, yet older than anything that should exist in it. Another echo. Faint, but clearer now, a child's voice, close and impossibly far at once. "He's watching now." Timaeus froze. A soft clatter echoed down the corridor. Not boots, metal against stone. A low, artificial growl vibrated through the tunnel. The Severants weren't alone. He had just the eyes of God, toggling to infrared. Something inhuman was moving toward him, an amalgam of machinery and flesh, its silhouette twitching unnaturally with every step. A prototype? A failed hybrid? Whatever it wasn't designed for grace. It was designed for brutality. Timaeus backtracked through the temple's inner corridors, searching for an exit while the walls seemed to breathe. The deeper he went, the more the structure defied logic, spiraling passageways, optical tricks that bent light where it shouldn't go, staircases leading both up and down simultaneously. He reached a dead end. Then the wall shimmered. A door appeared, subtle, seamless, marked with the same blue glyphs as the altar. He touched it. The door slid open without a sound, revealing a chamber unlike anything else in the city, dim, circular, with a sunken floor and data streams projected in midair. It looked abandoned. But someone had been here recently. A makeshift cot. Empty ration packets. A communications console still warm to the touch. And scrawled in charcoal on the far wall. "Truth is a weapon. Use it carefully." The moment he stepped in, the eyes of God adjusted automatically. He didn't command it. A data stream burst into view, a feed of encrypted surveillance footage. He watched himself enter the archives from earlier. Then a rapid flag through security channels. Facial scan. Cloak interference. Elevated threat level. They knew. Above the console, an alert blinked red. Surveillance breach detected, enforcement en route. But before he could move, a message began to type across the screen on its own. "They will never stop looking for you. But neither will we. Stay alive. One of us is near." Timaeus stared at the words, his pulse steady but coiled. The temple groaned again. From somewhere far above, the city howled in mechanical unison, sirens, alarms, engines, moving not in chaos but with intention. He pulled the cloak back over his shoulders and faded into the wall. There would be no rest tonight. And somewhere in the city, someone who knew what he was waiting.